Good evening and welcome to Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Entertainment. My name is Tahir Qureshi. I'm your host. I'm a fellow of Real Estate Institute of Canada, broker of record for City Pro Realty Inc. brokerage. Tonight's topic is red flags in real estate. There are a lot of challenges in real estate where you can feel there is a red flag. Either you're buying or selling a property, you're arranging a mortgage, or it is a grow house, or identity theft. Many factors are involved. So money laundering is also another red flags. So we're going to talk about few things to make sure, especially if you are privately selling your house, you don't have the support of a real estate professional, you feel that you are paying a commission for your services and you don't have that protection or additional guidelines and support that you can get from a professional. So when you are selling a property and you are responsible if you get involved in money laundering, and how to watch for red flags, whether you are using a real estate professional or you are a sale by the owner. Our Real Estate Council of Ontario that gave us a regulation, they give some guidelines. Our Canadian Real Estate Association give us guidelines to the members. Ontario Real Estate Association give guidelines to their membership. Toronto Regional Real Estate Board has guidelines for its member. Goal is to make sure everybody follows and they prevent the mortgage fraud or any fraud that relates to transaction on the real estate. Similarly, Mississauga Real Estate Board and ITSO board, there are 22 boards. They have guidelines for all real estate professionals to prevent the fraud. So we're going to talk about a few things about each one of them to make sure that we are looking after each one of them. So let's talk about the money laundering. If client arrives on a real estate closing with a significant amount of cash, now, as you know, the FinTrack requires that if anybody brings you money, cash, more than 10,000 or more than 10,000, they need to be disclosed, the source of income. There is a verification process. We as a real estate professional have to fill out the forms. So this is a red flag and somebody is bringing the cash. And also a purchaser who buys the property in the name of somebody else, not himself or herself, or if another associate or relative, it gives you a red flag. What's going on? You are the buyer, but why you are not putting the property in your name? So this is a red flag. Now, client doesn't want to use his and her name on the transaction. They want to use third party. So then you have a flag. What's going on here? Why they want to use a different person who's buying, or the offer name is different than the one who's getting the title of the property. So there is a difference. And also, the client doesn't explain in last minute at the time of closing, they want to change the name of the party. They want to assign to somebody else. These are also red flags. Something is going on here. It put a lot of responsibility on all the parties involved: seller, buyer, realtor, lawyer, mortgage agent, or broker, all those people who are involved, because they have set up a sign that in the agreement who is the real party is. Now all of a sudden there is a new party involved and there is a due diligence requirement. Now, also there is a flag that why a seller will sell a property below market value and maybe take the balance in difference in cash under the table. That's a criminal act. You're not disclosing the true value of the property, and then you're taking the cash where the cash is coming, so FinTrack requirement, and also violating of untruthful agreement of purchase and sale. So it's a criminal act. You are supposed to disclose your income. And that's why it's very important to make sure that additional money that you want to collect under the table is on the agreement and is received through the lawyer. Now, sometime a buyer pays initial deposit by a check by a third party. That creates a red flag. You are buying the property and somebody else is giving the third deposit. Is that your parents or any family member giving you money? It requires verification. Some of the bank will require that you also provide verification or sometimes affidavit that the money being provided by a family member, parents or other family member is really giving to you as a gift, not as a loan. If you take as a loan, that will become a liability, and it will be counted toward your purchase value and the mortgage you're arranging it. As you know, I'm a principal broker of Canada Express Mortgage Inc., license number 13241. So I can speak about real estate and speak about mortgages. So this is very important. Now, other red flag is that somebody is paying a lot of cash down payment and they are sourcing alternative funds from other sources, maybe international banks, to get the money to close a deal. So first of all, when they're giving the first cash deposit, you will have a red flag. Where this money is coming from, who is providing the money, and all associate. If they are a real estate broker, they need to disclose a report to FinTrack that there is a cash transaction in this deal, whether it is positive or negative. You have an obligation to report that cash deposit, report whether you suspect or not. You are required to report that. Second thing is, why the money is coming from another out of the country source. Who is sending the money? Where this money is coming from? And then you need to have evidence to show this money has a genuine and legal. This is why it's very, very important to find out where this money coming from. Now, there is another red flag which is interesting, is that some people, instead of using their personal information on the property, they use corporation. It gives you red flags why you are paying money and you are collecting either money from corporation or in your name you're transferring to corporation, vice versa, to find out what's going on. Because a business transaction is different than a personal transaction, because if you're buying a matrimonial home or principal residence and using corporate money, there's the two issues. There are tax issues. Are you taking as a declaring an income, or you are using a corporation shelter to finance your personal needs? There is an issue. You have to have a red flag to make sure it's not there. Sometimes, because of COVID pandemic, we have so much competition going on. Sometimes your client buys the property without inspection. Now, if you're buying a residential property and if you love the property, you definitely want to spend $300-400 to get the inspection done during your visit to the property if you love that much property. What will happen if you have the property and something is wrong with the property? Then who's going to pay that if you stretch yourself thin getting the mortgage and then you have issue with the house that you need to repair? Major issues, maybe structural issues, maybe leakage on the roof, maybe appliances are not working, furnace needs to be replaced, air conditioning not working, windows are leaking, and there is a big issue cost and you didn't do the inspection. So these are the red flags in terms of this. Now, other flag is that red flag is when lots of people are buying multiple properties. Somebody is buying, claiming. Sometimes you meet around clients, they tell you, oh, we bought a lot of property, we have lots of property. They can disclose or say anything they want to say to you. But when they give you that information, then you have to wonder why, if they're buying this property, are they really qualified to buy this property, or something else is happening? What is the source of funding? What is the income? So you can ask this question to make sure that you're not getting into a situation where there are some challenges. Or sometimes you have a newcomers coming to Canada, they may not have the resources unless they can demonstrate to you they have the funds transmitted through the bank and they are sitting in the bank with at least 3 months, so you can see they have cash sitting in their bank and they have a valid reason, and they are going to make sure that they are able to close a deal, and not only close a deal but also maintain the mortgages if they need to arrange the mortgage. Because it's possible when you buy a property, people like it. Some people don't even like the color. Paint is one of the things. Some people say, I don't like the hardwood floor, I want to change it. There are carpet steps, they want the staircase to be hardwood. So change the chandelier to a nice one, and change the granite countertop. I like quartz over granite countertop. Oh, washing machine is no good. So you come up with these ideas. Everyone that you buy the property will improve the property to their own liking. Therefore, it is definitely possible that you need the money. So when you have these challenges, you walk into a house where you're going to spend money that you didn't anticipate, you didn't prepare for it, you didn't have the budget, what you going to do? Now, the other red flag is sometimes, when you're dealing with a client, they don't come to the property. They don't see the property, they want you to put an offer on it. How often do you put an offer on a property without seeing a property? You'd cause them to come and show up at the property to see the property, and then you see not the buyer, somebody else shows up and you book a property. No, that's a red flag. Because you have a client, you signed a BRA with someone. I hope you have not done just all digital, you have done verification somehow physically, or through with a mask. You can go and meet with people, especially when you are dealing with a new client. Everybody desperate to have a client. This is a very challenging time during pandemic, and there's only, when you have a 20 bidders, only one successful, you have a 19 disappointed buyers, they can't buy the property. And you will see that friction will happen, challenges will happen, frustration will come in, stress will come, and these are the challenges. But as long as you have a genuine client who she or he wants to really buy a house, they work with you, definitely you will not have a problem. Yeah. Now, sometimes if you talk to the buyer or client, you talk about it and say, oh, they over justify it, what they're doing. And they talk about explanations which are not relevant to why they're buying a property. So you talk about those things with your client and make sure. And people sometimes will not give you their direct number. They give you a business number. Sometimes you just leave the message. You're not able to talk. This is why it's very, very important to get this information together. Call on the number when you personally meet. Keep a social distance. Even though on 21st March, all these restrictions will be listed, you still will be wish to wear a mask. You can do that. We are all vaccinated, double, triple vaccinated. But it's prudent is to make sure that you watch for these things. And this is why, and the most important thing is that sometimes client doesn't give you the address. They give you a post box number. So you are filling out that FinTrack form, especially real estate professional. If you use PO box number, you will be breaching the FinTrack requirement, because this is very important that you have actual a delivery address where you can deliver the information. So this is why it's very, very important that you are not dealing with someone that you don't know. These are red flags you watch. Now, the other red flags we talk about, identity theft. This is a big problem because sometimes you receive credit reports in the mail followed up by a phone call from a collection agency. And they say, oh, you have fraudulently obtained a loan from a credit union or whatever, MasterCard, and you don't even know about it because your ID has been stolen. We have a social media. Because of pandemic, we are everywhere. Only thing that protects you is changing your password most frequently, more difficult one, and make sure you write it down. I have lots of social media presence, and I have to change this password many times. I have this double step. Sometime, I intentionally put, I don't know the password, I forgot the password. So they go to step 2 to verify. They send me text on my cell number, then I log in and change my password. This is very important. And also, when someone is buying a property for you, he's telling you that he is so and so, but as a buyer, let's say you're dealing with a private deal, how often do you have the opportunity to check and verify the owner who come to you and he wants to buy your property? He doesn't have a realtor. He's coming to you. It's sold by the owner. You don't have a driving license. He won't give it to show to you because your focus is money that he's going to give it to you. And he has not been verified. This money came cash money, check, what you're going to list on the agreement of purchase and sale, or what you're going to give him under the table. So these are the things that they're going to come back to haunt you. And this is why it's very important. Now, this is important that how often do you check the credit report? You need to check your credit report to make sure there is no red flags there, because a collection agency, when they come after you, they think that you are the one, but actually your information is stolen. I had a one-time experience, and I don't know I still have it or not, but 10, 15 years ago, one of the big wireless company gave a telephone to somebody, and it has my first name and last name, not the middle name, and they happen to have the same birthday, which is mine. So I wrote to them, I said, and I got a collection agency call me, and I said, this was about 10 years ago. So I said, no, I never live in Pickering. I never live. How can you do this to me? So I have to write up and talk to TransUnion, talk to Equifax, and I got everything fixed. But I tell you, the police still have a fragile criminal case against that person with his namesake, but his middle name is different. My middle name is different. So once in a while, I was in a van the other day, about maybe a few months ago, a police stopped me. And this is, you have this nameplate, we have a problem. I told him, I said, listen, when I bought this particular car, this plate number doesn't even I own that. It was a very different name. How come you stopped me? He said, no, your name is kind of collected. When he saw the card, I gave him all the information. He said, sorry about that. He apologized. So that means somebody tried to steal something. And this is how it's happened. This happened 10 years ago. So you have to be careful about it. And sometimes they turn down your credit. If you are buying a property and there is some collection reported against you on credit bureau, and you don't even know it, at last minute when you're trying to make a transaction, you're trying to use something, you put money down, everything, and then you say, okay, I will draw money because I have a $50,000 visa, I have to pay 20,000 closing costs, so I draw it against my card, and all of a sudden it's been blocked, suspended, because you have some fraudulent misuse of or identity theft. Your information has been stolen. So be careful. And also, when you are buying and selling, when you look at the credit report, look at the name on the agreement of purchase and sale. Look at your driving license where you verify the buyer. And you look at the report that comes to you from the credit bureau. And you can see, are they matching? And if their IDs are not matching, there is a problem, and you have to watch that. These are the things that we always said, that red flags are really to warning sign that you see that. Now, especially, now we're going to talk about grow houses also, and then we're going to talk about mortgage issues. Similarly, when you are buying a property, you don't have a realtor, you're dealing with a private guy, and there is a mold on the corner of the houses and the ceiling. You can see that some brownish, some repainting, some rewiring issues in the house. These are all red flags. There's something, somebody might have a grow house in the place. You know, new law allow you to do some trees, small one. But idea is a disclosure, seeing that nobody fraudulently not to disclose information. So you can also see tampering in electrical panel. You can see that when somebody is using a property for grow house, they will tamper with the electricity meter and wiring. This is and also when you have a vacant property and nobody's looking after the landscaping, so there is a red flag. Maybe this property has been abandoned by somebody, or maybe it was a grow house before. So you need to do more due diligence. These are red flags that give you that you have a concrete in the house. There are some cracks, there are patch ups, and you have to find out what's all about. You should be curious about it. Don't get emotional that you love the house, you want to buy it. Yes, but do the assessment. Some require environmental assessment. Some require structural stability test. Some require pollutant in the air. Environmental issue is hazardous for you. So these are red flags, because this is why you call the police. They might tell you, or the municipality, or maybe the fire department, to find out a particular house has any wrongdoing, grow house or anything there which was tampered by this house, or there's any fire in the house. So many things, you can check it out. And also, some people have fireplaces. There are some problems with the fireplaces. They've been tampered, because if you don't have a proper ventilation, you know that carbon monoxide will spread. It will kill you because you cannot feel them, and you have to watch. And also, if there are issues related to the property, and that you will feel that this property, you have a third party's purchaser. For example, you have someone who's buying a property, they're not the real owner, purchaser, they're third party, but their front man is different. This fraudulent buying, somebody bring somebody else to make some money, they use somebody else's IDs to get the mortgage, and they pay him off. And we have talked about a special show on those fraud for shelter and criminal activities and many things we talk about. So, and the most important thing is, when you are buying, especially if you are dealing with directly with a buyer, you can have a source of income. How can you verify a source of income unless you are working with a real estate professional? And no contract negotiation. I have lots of money. I'll buy it, pay cash for it, or no mortgage. But where the money is coming from? Is it properly documented? And how you can verify the source of income? Because as a real estate professional, we have obligation to fulfill the requirement, and we have to fill out the forms. And we get Real Estate Council of Ontario, they audit us very frequently. And they also track. Now COVID is going away. They might come by knocking at your door at the brokerage and check it out, whether you are following the guidelines required to complete receipt of funds and client IDs and also corporation IDs requirement. These are preventive action to prevent the fraud and give you red flags to make sure that and especially if you have multiple offers and somebody pays a lot of multiple cash transaction, somebody do a lot of cash transaction, and where the money is in this environment, day and age, we buy Tim Horton, buy coffee, we use the card to pay Tim Horton. How come somebody has a significant amount of money buying multiple property with cash money? Make no sense. It gives you a red flag. Also, somebody is paying for somebody to buy a property. Multiple times somebody say, oh, here's a down payment, here's the cash money, here's the deposit. Why somebody else, third party, is paying the money unless that person is disclosed on the document and they're supported by it? Is this money loan? What is the source of this money? Is it legitimate income, or is it fraudulently obtained this money, or criminal activities, criminal fraud that's happening, and grow houses and other stuff? And everybody wants to keep the confidential and secretive, and no explanation about the transaction, where the money is coming from, why they want to buy it. Is it for personal use, or is it a business investment? Who's going to be living it, renting it? Who the real owner is? There is all keep everything secret, and this is why we have a problem when you are dealing with these issues, and when you have no way of verifying it. The purpose of this goal is that if you are talking about we're going to talk about the mortgage is very important, because there's a lot of issues there. I get calls all the time that I know somebody who pretend that he doesn't have the income, and he's buying a multi-million-dollar property. How come? Nobody's watching them. Nobody's doing anything. Why we have this problem in a multiple bidding? So that we're going to talk about that after the break. You are watching Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Entertainment. My name is Tahir. Qureshi. We're going to take a short break, and we'll come back. We continue our conversation on red flags in real estate.
It's good to dream big, to own a house and a business. Get residential and business loans. Get insurance to protect your dreams. Get your children in university education without monetary worries. Invite your family from back home to share your success in Canada. Me and my team of professionals will help you under one roof to settle down in Canada.
Amber Financial and Allied Services. Call now. 647-887-1696. Amber Financial and Allied Services. All services under one roof.
Zoc. Now it's fully renovated. Live catering, barbecue, tandoor, जलेबियाँ और fresh naan. तकरीब आपके घर में हो या घर से बाहर. Zoc is providing full service now, and Zoc has opened a new banquet hall, garden event center. आपका Zoc देखकर लोग कहेंगे क्या Zoc है आपका? Call right now 905-625-7786. Zoc वालों के लिए.
सियासत से तिजारत तक,
सबसे पहले घबराना नहीं.
तालीम से मईशत तक,
आपके जेब पे डाका डालना जानते हैं.
सेहत से सनत तक,
चोर घर में आ चुका है जनाब स्पीकर.
हुकूमती ऐवानों से चाय खानों तक, कोई नहीं बच पाएगा तकरार से. कौन, कब, कैसे, क्यों जैसे सवाल बनते हैं मौजू प्रोग्राम तकरार में. देखते रहिए तकरार कनाडा से बराह रास्त समीना जबीन के साथ मंडे टू फ्राइडे सिर्फ आवाज एंटरटेनमेंट पर।
How you doing, Mira?
Good.
Good job. Honey, where's the masala for the chicken biryani?
In front of you.
And for the veg biryani?
You're holding it. तेल मसाला को बहुत
डिक्सी इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स और अप्लायंसेस पिछले 16 सालों से खरीदारों की खिदमत कर रहे हैं। हम लगातार 4 सालों से खरीदारों की पहली पसंद बने रहने का अवार्ड हासिल कर चुके हैं। हम किचनर्स, बॉश, वर्लपूल, एलजी, सैमसंग और जनरल इलेक्ट्रिक के ऑथराइज्ड डीलर हैं। 5 स्टार खिदमत का लुत्फ लें। हम आप सभी को टीवी सबसे ज्यादा रियायती दामों पर देने की गारंटी देते हैं। www.dixieelectronics.ca हमारी वेबसाइट पर जाएं या अभी कॉल करें 9056255900। सभी बहुत ही मुनासिब कीमत पर दस्तयाब हैं जो आप बाआसानी से ले सकते हैं। At Dixie, we sell quality and deliver confidence.
आवाज एंटरटेनमेंट एंड पीजी इंटरनेशनल की जानिब से हम लेकर आ रहे हैं आपके लिए एनुअल ब्राइडल वेडिंग एक्सपो। जी हाँ, जहां आपको मिलेगी बेशुमार वैरायटी ब्राइडल सूट्स और ब्राइडल ज्वेलरी की। जी हाँ, आपको आना है 27 मार्च 2022 को मिसिसागा कन्वेंशन सेंटर में। अगर आप अपने बिजनेस को प्रमोट करना चाहते हैं तो जी हाँ, कॉल कीजिए 416-786-9809 पे। आपके बिजनेस को 4 चांद हम लगाएंगे।
कॉर्पोरेट इवेंट्स हो या शादी की तकरीब, बर्थडे एनिवर्सरीज हो या हो बेबी शावर, और अगर आप चाहते हैं स्टूडियो सेटअप, रेंटल बैकड्रॉप्स, हार गजरे या पार्टीज के लिए फ्रेश फ्लावर अरेंजमेंट्स, देन कॉल आफिया खान at 416-628-7849. Essence Event Decor, creative, elegant and unique.
Good evening and welcome to Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Entertainment. My name is Tahir. Qureshi. I'm your host. We are talking about red flags in real estate. We have talked about identity theft, real estate transaction, grow house, and now we're going to talk about mortgage red flags. As a mortgage real estate professional, we follow very strict MBLLA, the law that governs the mortgage business and profession in Ontario. Two things are very important when you are dealing with real estate mortgage brokerage. Know your client. This is a mandatory for any mortgage agent and broker to know their client. That means they know the client financial in order for them to determine a product is suitable. So we have to have your income verification document. We have to have an asset document. We also have a liability documents and also your asset and credit report. So when the mortgage broker will assess all these documents, there are lots of questions will come into the picture. And law says that we need to know our client, the financial condition, the client whose borrower is, and then the product that we recommend or propose for them is suitable for them. They can sustain it. In this process, the borrower has to make it a proper disclosure to the mortgage agent or broker or bank or lender. What comes to you, the first thing this comes to you is identity. The borrower refuses, delays, doesn't provide identities when requested repeatedly. That gives you a red flag. Is the real genuine buyer or not? Is he the real borrower or not? And then You look at the land title, for example, a property that is being sold, you have an agreement of purchase and sale. The name of the seller doesn't match with the name on the title in the geo warehouse. Realtor know that. So the agent is looking at this. There is a red flag. Is the real seller selling the house to this borrower? And then this is a inconsistency, improper translation of the name. Some are interpreted a very different names they use to put on the transaction. Sometimes they disclose an employment on the document, on the application, but they are not the real employer. They fraudulently use somebody company's name and put the buyer's name there, and the company doesn't exist or the person doesn't exist. So that give you a red flag. Or purchaser is buying a very expensive properties and using different names or variation in names. Sometimes I notice that some people use first name and last name and they forget the middle name. The next property, they say first name, middle name, and last name. And they use middle name as a first name and forget about the first name. So there are also lots of variation in buying the property, and that gives you a red flag. Who is the real buyer? That his name is on the application for loan and application for the mortgage. And then that person, the mortgage agent, should always use real estate professional to find out and verify the title. And some mortgage lender already have access to the geo warehouse. They can verify the real owner on the title. Or you can work with your real estate professional to find out who the real owner is on showing on the title. And you, because you're working as a team, this is why it is very important. Bank always verify the deposit. What is the source of the deposit if it's other than the buyer? And that really created a red flag. Is this money came from illegitimate source? Who provided that deposit if it's not the buyer? And that's a red flag. So consumer, you know that. If you can't afford it, you don't have the money, don't buy it. Because you get caught. The system will flag it. If you have bought property before, you repeatedly bought property with different names, and you are overextended your mortgages, you defaulted on payment, your credit report will tell you. Everything get reported to the credit bureau. So this is why it's important. Other thing is sometimes you have a power of attorney. Somebody's acting on behalf of the buyer. Is the power of attorney properly executed? Was it registered with in Ontario? Was it done through a lawyer in the province of Ontario? To make sure that is properly executed and is verified. Because when lawyers give the power of attorney, they get the copy of the ID, the 2 ID minimum, driving license, a passport, other government document, issues document, to verify, to make sure they are dealing with the right person who is signing the power of attorney. And the person who is accepting it, acting on this behalf, and they verify to make sure, this is a genuine. And there's also, it's recommended, it's not wrong, it's recommended that you have 2 separate lawyers dealing with the buyer and the seller. I think Upper Canada Law Society has probably provided guidance that in one law firm, 2 different lawyers will be representing the buyer and the seller to represent them and protect each other's interests. This is very important. Now, is also a red flag. You know, when you're buying a home, this is the biggest financial decision of your lifetime, and you are trying to rush to buy something, it gives you a little bit red flag. What is so rush? Because you want immediate possession. Unless you can prove that you have sold your property and you are matching a completion date with the other property, and you can prove that because transaction has to be through the lawyer, then that makes sense. But if you are trying to rush, expedite, to put cash money through the bank and try to do the immediate possession, it gives you red flag. It gives you opportunity for you to check it out to make sure it is the right thing. This is very, very important that the due diligence is done. And also, when you put an offer, you conditionally offer the deal, you have a deal, and then you use your own appraiser to get the assessed value, or you bribe the appraiser to give the value. Because maybe the agreement has exaggerated value of the property. Maybe it's under the table. Maybe the seller decided to give some money back to the buyer. So bank is looking at that. This is their money, they give it to you. They will be checking all of these things to make sure that it doesn't happen. If someone, and I tell you, I have a couple of calls the last few days, people call, they don't disclose the name, and they know me because they watch Realty Coffee Talk. And they said, I have a friend or known a friend who does not have the means to buy a property or $1.2 million. How come he bought the property? First of all, because of privacy law, he will not have access to somebody else's information. That's prohibited. No professional will share the information unless the person had disclosed personally as a friend. Secondly, if it's true that he doesn't have the source of income and he or she secure a mortgage, that is a criminal act. That's a fraud, because they must have fabricated the document of an income to justify. They might have a bucket of cash, they give it to them and nobody reported the cash. Their source of income, employment type of income, let's say you're a taxi driver or you're a truck driver. Your income is $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, but you bought $1.5 million worth of property. And you've been disclosing to CRA a note of assessment, your income is, net income is about $30,000. How can you buy a property $1.5 million? And sooner or later, they get caught. The other issue that I was also complaining about is that some realtors, real estate professional, will tell the buyer, give unconditional offer, I will arrange a mortgage for you. That's a totally unprofessional. You should never do that. I am not sure whether it is true, but I have heard a lot from few people that call me. First of all, the ethic. Real Estate Business Broker Act, Ontario Regulation 585, that talks about Code of Ethics. There are, I believe, 53 chapters. That strictly, if they find someone breaching the REBA, and after due diligence and complaining process, they will lose their license if they're fraudulently, criminally involved in infringing the agreement. Number two, if you cannot qualify for a mortgage, why would you want a liability? First, you would have a lot of problem in paying your monthly payment unless you have a lot of cash money that you are not disclosing to CRA. So you are already violating the income tax. You can afford it, but you don't qualify. This is a dilemma that people have mentioned in social media, and sometimes people text me information, but this is where the problem is. Our industry, we as a real estate professional, we follow strict RIBA, Code of Ethics. Uriya, Korea, TRAB, Misaga Board, all real estate association and trade organization, they have a strict code of ethic policy. There are disciplinary action taken against those who violate it. Maybe few. There are always bad apple in a few of them, but not all. Similarly, in mortgage, if you are paying someone cash down payment to fabricate or falsify your income and getting a mortgage, doesn't matter if the mortgage agent, a broker, or the lender, it can only be done with all parties involved are cooperating with each other to make a deal. And you could be held accountable, responsible for your infringing the MBLLA and RIBA 2002 as amended. So this was the idea to give you some red flags. If you can't afford it, don't do it. There are legal ways. If you have any questions, you can call me 416-451-3489. I will tell you there are avenues. It will cost you a little bit more money, but you will do a proper application, disclose all the document income, all liabilities, all the asset and credit report. Make sure you pay on time and you don't have a worse credit report. You are watching Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Entertainment in Canada, around the world. I have spoken to the owner of our Awaz Entertainment, and she has given a special package, $500 Canadian plus HST, to advertise on Awaz Entertainment in Canada, around the world. You can call 416-786-9809 and tell her that you are a subscriber or watching Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Entertainment. She will give you the special, and your small video, 30 seconds, will be advertised 10 times a day for 30 days, for 1 month, only $500 plus HST. You're watching Realty Coffee Talk. I encourage you to go to realtycoffeetalk.com and subscribe my YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next Thursday on Awaz Entertainment. May God bless you. May God bless Canada. Bye for now.